I'm about to give you a crash course in how you can change the entire trajectory of your life today through time travel. In fact, you're time traveling all the time, you're just not consciously aware of it. And the most powerful way that you can experience time travel and the ability to change your life is through inner child healing and conscious reparenting. So what a lot of people don't understand is that most people on this planet are not actually living in the present moment. They are living in a past version of themselves. They are living in a constant state of being triggered or in survival mode or being in a state of unconsciousness. And it is because in our formative years of development, those first 5 to 7 years of development in our childhood, that is where we solidify our sense of self. It's where we solidify our belief systems about ourselves, our belief systems about our families, and our belief systems about the larger world around us and the ways in which we navigate the world. So if during this essential stage of development, you anchored in and solidified the belief of I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I deserve to be punished, or I cannot receive love unless I'm quiet and a good girl, whatever it is that was embedded into your consciousness during that time, that is the lens that you are going to be living your life from that moment on, which is why people go into adulthood carrying these limiting belief systems, as we call them, and despite them wanting to change, despite spending years in therapy talking about these experiences, they aren't able to make lasting changes in their life. And the reason why is because you have to go back to the origin point of when that belief system was solidified and clear the energetic charge on that belief system. So I'm going to give you sort of a real world example of what this could look like in practice. So I watched a video a couple of days ago, but there was a young woman who was sitting on the couch with her mother. And the way that this video is framed is it's showing like this wounded woman dealing with a narcissistic parent, a narcissistic mother. And this woman is in a rage. She is screaming, she's crying, she is, for all intents and purposes, throwing what looks like a temper tantrum, but coming from an adult body. And the reason why she's having this visceral response to her mother's lack of care and love is because she's not actually existing in the present moment. She is living from her past. She has been transported back to herself as a young child who is experiencing the deep grief, the deep pain, the deep separation of not having her needs met by her mother. And that's what's being expressed through her adult body, but she's not consciously aware because she's not present in the moment. And her mother, of course, is doing what her mother has always done, not honoring her daughter's emotional expression, not giving her the comfort and the nurturing that she needs, because her mother is also dealing with her own unmet needs. And this is the facade that she has created as a narcissist in order to protect herself from the intensity of feelings that she herself has not healed and processed. What would really help this young woman or anyone that's going through a circumstance like this, what I said in the beginning about inner child healing and conscious reparenting. So the time travel aspect of it is for you to be consciously aware and learning how to do that. It's about learning how to become consciously aware of your triggers so that you recognize that this trigger is an invitation for you to walk through that portal consciously so that you can heal the wound that was created during that timeline. And so what this young woman could do, or anyone who's in a circumstance like this can do through that inner child work, is go back in time through meditation or through guidance and sit with the version of yourself that created the belief system that you've been carrying into adulthood. So if the belief system is, I will not receive love unless I'm quiet and obedient and a good girl, then it's going back to that version of yourself who decided that that was the truth and decided that that was the way in which she was going to live through the world in order to receive love. And you are meant to give her what it is that she did not receive in that moment, so that that version of you trusts that she doesn't have to suppress her own voice, so that she doesn't have to be obedient to her own detriment, so that she doesn't have to look for love in the wrong places in order to receive the love that she didn't receive from her parents, specifically the mother. It's almost always coming back to the mother. And when you sit with this version of yourself and you show up as the parent that was needed in that moment that you didn't actually receive, to give that version of yourself what it is that they needed, that is where the healing begins, and you begin to collapse the timeline on these subconscious beliefs that have basically been ruling your life that you weren't aware of. Now, obviously, there's a lot of work to be done around becoming consciously aware of the triggers in that moment, but that's something that takes time. When you make the commitment to change your life and you decide, I no longer want to carry these belief systems, that is when your life will change, which is why I said you have the power to change your life today with this type of work. All you have to do is make that conscious decision to check in with that version of yourself and have that conversation where you begin to establish a sense of trust and a bond with this younger version of yourself so that they're not looking outside of them for that validation or that love or that reciprocity. This is why this woman in the clip that I'm describing is having such an emotional outburst with her mother, is because she's still needing her mother to be the person that her mother has explicitly shown her over and over and over again that she doesn't have the capacity to be. So this woman needs to take responsibility for becoming that role for herself, becoming the mother to herself, becoming that parent to herself, that lets her recognize that she is the source of that validation, that she is the source of that love, that she is the source of that care that she's been craving and looking for outside of herself. And this woman and anyone who's going through something similar is never going to have peace until they recognize and do the work to become the source of what it is that they're looking for outside of themselves. When we become aware of our triggers and the storylines attached to them, that is what allows us to be anchored into the present moment. So rather than having a conversation with someone where we feel a trigger and we are reacting from past version of ourselves, we get to be present with that experience. We get to be present with that trigger, and we realize, okay, this isn't actually happening right now. I am not unworthy, or I am not unloved, or I am not being punished, or I'm not going to get in trouble for expressing what it is that I have to say. This is the version of me that needs attention. And in this moment, I get to stay connected to my breath. I get to stay connected to my body, or I get to simply just remove myself from this situation if I don't have the tools at this time in my development and in my healing in order to navigate this from a present moment. But the key is recognizing that these triggers are an invitation to enter into a portal of time travel so that you can feel and experience and fully process that grief, that rage, that anger, that abandonment, or whatever that wound is through your system and through your body, because you're not going to be able to live in the present with that conscious grounded awareness until you start releasing the wounds that are coming up to show you that there's work and excavation to be done. A metaphor that I like to give for this process is kind of like the concept of demolishing a building. So when you watch a building being demolished, they go in and they put little detonators, little bombs all around the foundation of the building. And then they might put them in other parts of the building as well. So let's say the building for you is this idea that I am not worthy. By traveling back to the origin point, which is represented by the foundation of this building, this origin point being when you were a child and you decided that you were unworthy because of the messaging that was given to you in your environment, what you're doing is when you're connecting with your inner child and you're rewriting that code, reparenting your inner child, shifting that inner belief system, you're essentially setting little bombs, little detonators on the foundation of this structure that represents your sense of unworthiness. When you clear your attachment to this wounding, this idea, this belief of unworthiness, what happens is that foundation gets activated, that those bombs go off, and then it causes the entire structure to collapse. And that is how you change the trajectory of your life. It's by time traveling into the past, rewriting that code, rewriting that story, rewriting that narrative, and so that you're no longer impacted by this script that has been following you and that you've been living out for the entirety of your life. This is how you heal yourself from being in toxic relationships. This is how you heal your relationship with your mother, heal your relationship with your father. But you are no longer looking to them as the source of your validation, the source of your care, the source of your love. This is how you have the courage to make those decisions that are going to actually impact and shift the trajectory of your life, because you're no longer making decisions from this unconscious belief system that you're not worthy. This is why I want you to understand that you are a time traveler, you are an alchemist, and you have the power to do this anytime you want. It's just we don't recognize our ability and our power to do that. So I really hope that this was impactful. I hope that this awakened something in you, empowered you to make those necessary changes to shift the trajectory of your life. And I'd love to hear how this resonates with you down in the comments. And also, if this is something that you are already practicing in your spiritual work, then please share your wisdom in the comments so that the people who haven't quite yet connected to this level of work can see in real time other examples of how it is so effective and so powerful for other people that are in this deep work. And if you want to dive deeper with me, if you want to work with me, check the caption and I will give you some examples of different ways that you can work with me and dive deeper into this work. Because ultimately what my desire and goal and prayer is for everybody out there in the world that is suffering, that's feeling like a victim, that's feeling like they don't have the power to change their life. The truth is you actually do have the power to change your life, and you can start making those changes today, and you can do it very, very simply. Is it necessarily easy? No, I'm not going to sugarcoat and say that this is easy work, but this is the type of work that when you commit to it, you're going to be so grateful beyond your wildest dreams because of what it is going to create and open and release and heal within you, so that you actually get to step into your full power and your full expression that you're meant to be experiencing in this lifetime. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.